following this theme of people speaking truth to power. And I don't know how I came across this, but I think it's starting to get out there. There was there's a woman, Mahida Tahrir. I may be pronouncing that wrong. She's an independent journalist. I think she has a piece in the New Inquiry right now on drones. She apparently is attending a program at University of Wisconsin, learning a language over the summer. And the NSA sent a couple of recruiters to the language program to ostensibly recruit people to work for the NSA. And there were two recruiters, a woman and a man. Apparently, Tahir had planned to just go and ask questions. And she did. Apparently, there were other people there who had the same agenda. And someone recorded part of the conversation about an hour into it. And we're not going to play the whole thing because it's about 11 minutes. We will link to the entire thing at majority.fm. We're just going to play the first couple of minutes of this because it is really fantastic and genuinely impressive. These NSA recruiters, I don't think were anticipating actually having legitimate questions. They came in, presumably with their glossy pamphlets, promising a great career in the NSA, and what they ended up hearing was basically an indictment of what they do. But here is just the beginnings of this.
Yeah, I just had a question. You said that earlier that the two tasks that you do, one is sort of figuring out the tracking down the sort of communications of your adversaries, and the other is protecting the communications of officials.
Right.
So do you consider Germany and the countries that the NSA has been spying on to be adversaries, or are you right now not speaking the truth? I mean, do you consider Germany, etc., an adversary, these European countries, or are you right now not telling us the truth and lying when you say that actually you simply track you keep focusing on that, but clearly the NSA is doing a lot more than that, as we know. So I'm just asking for a clarification.
What our foreign intelligence requirements are. So, I mean, you can define adversary as enemy, and clearly Germany is not our enemy. But would we have foreign national interest from an intelligence perspective on what's going on across the globe? Yeah, we do. I mean, that's our requirements that come to us as an intelligence community organization from the policymakers, from the military, from whoever, are global.
So by adversaries, you actually mean anybody and everybody. There's nobody then, by your definition, that is not an adversary. Is that correct?
And it goes on. We will link to it. We can't play the whole thing, obviously, but and maybe what we'll do is, for members, we'll drop it the entire 10-minute segment on the back end. For those of you not members, you got to come to the site, go track it down yourself. But the conversation goes on and obviously broadens out in many respects. And some of the students there said, how is it that do you not ever contemplate the implications of what you're doing on people's lives? Or it's fascinating. And whether you agree or not as to whether or not we should be spying on every country, in every instance, the really important aspect of this line of questioning that Tahir was following was the elasticity of the way things are defined. Because she's absolutely right. By saying our adversaries and then defining adversary is anybody else who exists in the world, because necessarily We live in, at least from their frame, a competitive world. So everything, every person, I would argue, and every country is an adversary, right? I mean, when I am protesting against the policies of the United States, am I not an adversary?
If you won't give our products preferential trade treatment.
If I won't give your our products preferential trade treatment, are you not an adversary as a state? If you have resources that we want, are you not an adversary? Could you be headed to a country and trying to get their resources before we do? If you are building more refining capacity, if you are in any way impacting our GDP. I mean, the definition of adversary is anyone. And then we see the way that all of these definitions have been expanded, as we talked about yesterday, the definition of relevant, the definition of special needs, the definition of national security, the definition of terrorist, the definition of threat. All of these words are malleable in the hands of an apparatus that wants to expand its power. These people kept saying over and over again, we're just taking orders from the policymakers. Now, first off, the policymakers are formulating their orders based upon the advice that is given by these entities. And whether these entities are governmental entities or private entities. And so this is the self-licking ice cream cone. And this is why we must intervene in any way possible on this dynamic. It's not to say there should be no government. It's not to say there should be no national security. It's not to say there should be no corporations. It is simply that through a democratic process, we must intervene because all of these entities, all institutions, in some regard, are always trying to strengthen themselves. When you're a hammer, everything is a nail. This is simply an inevitability of the human condition. They're trying to grow. They're trying to increase their power. And we must have short circuits in the process. And this is supposed to be, our system of government was supposed to be set up to do this. Congress was supposed to be a check on the executive. The judiciary was supposed to be a check on the Congress and the executive. The executive is supposed to have a check on the judiciary and that they have the ability to appoint. And Congress is a check on the judiciary and the ability they have to impeach. I mean, on and on. But we have a failure and a breakdown in frankly, all of these branches of government. And I would extend that failure to the media and in some regard to the citizenry at large. And this whole chain of circuit breaking, this whole change of accountability or chain of accountability, really in many respects starts with the citizens. And must start with the citizens. When you have this systemic type of failure that we have, it must start with the citizens. And that's why to see what Sarah Slayman did, to see what Mahida Tahir did, is so important. And it's so important to project and amplify these voices.